Here's what I like about Mondays. When Jenny Taft goes into her closet, says, what is Jenna going to be wearing? I will wear the exact same thing, and then shows up doing it. It's great. Jenny, good morning. How are you? How was your weekend? And tell us about the show, all in one long sentence.
Okay, weekend was great. I think something else about clothes. I love your outfit. And we have so much to talk about this morning, Jenna. On Undisputed, Kawhi Leonard hit one of the biggest shots in NBA history last night. Let's just say Skip has a lot to say about it. And did the Lakers make the right move with Frank Vogel and Jason Kidd? Shannon, not too happy about that one. Plus, Steven Jackson and Chris Haynes are in studio with us, Undisputed. Coming up next, Jenna, back to you and the guys. Hope you had a great weekend as well.
I did, we did. Jenny, thanks a million. Have a great show. We look forward to
get that even stupider Photoshop.
We didn't even care about the rally. Anything to get us to this picture.
Get it like that. We had to put some pecs on.
Swollen. Get to the Sixers and Raptors. It is rare we start a highlight with the last bounce on the last play of the last second of the game, but Kawhi Leonard's buzzer-beating shot bounced 4 times on the rim before falling, winning both the game and the series for the Toronto Raptors. For Kawhi, 2 of his 41 points in the Game 7 win. Toronto now moving on to face the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. See, how remarkable was this moment?
I think a number of things. Not only a Game 7, winner-takes-all walk-off shot, but how everything transpired from in the game. Kawhi missing the free throw where they could have gone up by 3. Jimmy Butler racing down the court, getting a 2 to tie it. Kawhi, the journey he's been on the last 12 months as an athlete, people questioning his sports integrity, him holding up San Antonio, Popovich, and everything he had there going against him. So it's one of the better shots that I've seen. I haven't seen a walk-off in game number 7 like this. This reminded me of the Jordan shot against Craig Elo in the Cavs. That was a 5-game.
Right. That shot and this shot are the only 2 shots to happen in a winner-take-all game. So this is the first Game 7. That was the only one to happen in the Game 5. So those are the only 2 to happen in these types of circumstances.
But it also speaks to how special this playoff has been. Because for me, not to have gone through 2 rounds of playoff basketball and Damian Lillard's shot not to be the best shot that we've seen, it's what you have talked about as far as what we're seeing is very, very rare and how special those 2 shots were.
And before I give my thoughts on this, I want to go back to you for a second because you were one of the few people last year who was unequivocal in your defense of Kawhi Leonard. That Kawhi Leonard wasn't quitting, that Kawhi Leonard wasn't faking, that Kawhi Leonard didn't all of a sudden lose his sports integrity, and that he was injured, he was misdiagnosed, and you would see him get back to who he had been when he was healthy in a different place. And people are making this moan about the Raptors franchise.
Yes.
The Raptors been to conference finals before.
Yes.
I don't know why people are acting they haven't been. They just got beat down by LeBron once they got there. So the Raptors have been there. Kawhi's never had this moment, though, himself.
No, and coming off of, you could hear it in his interview. You could see Kawhi for the first time in his NBA career get caught in his own emotions. And he said, it's been a tough year. And there were people close to him that questioned it. There was the organization, Popovich, who was like a father figure to him. Him and Pop are still close. For him to demand to be traded, man, that took some guts. And for it to work out, and we didn't know where his health was going to be. I did know he had a significant injury. I did know it was a rare injury that a lot of athletes don't have. So his ability to be able to get back to being one of the top 5 players in the world, that was questioned. And anytime people question your integrity about doing something, where Kawhi throughout his career, that part had never been questioned. So for me, man, this shot was about Kawhi. I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. When they called the timeout, I did a Nick Wright. I had started to tweet, Kawhi hits game winner. And the only reason why I wasn't able to send it when the ball went in, because I was cheering in my living room, jumping up and down. Because I know him.
Ready to go.
I've been knowing him since he came into the league. I know what a great story he was. And the story's even better now because he'll get credit for it. Before in Kawhi's career, San Antonio always got credit for it.
So you mentioned Jordan in '89. I'm going to mention a different Jordan game because ever since a few weeks ago, Kendrick Perkins went on FS1 and said he thinks he has a lot of similarities in his game. This playoffs, Kawhi to Jordan's. I've watched him a little differently because when he first said it, I said, you got to be kidding me. But as far as embracing the mid-range, as far as not necessarily having playmaking be a huge part of it, but lockdown defense, their build, like there are some similarities. Well, there is one game in particular, that Kawhi's game last night, the stakes were different, but was damn near identical to, and that was Jordan's last game ever with the Bulls. That game was a defensive struggle. Nobody was playing well offensively.
Yes.
Jordan had one teammate show up. One teammate hit more than 4 shots. It was Tony Kukoc, who added, I think, 15 points. Kawhi last night had one teammate score more than 15 points. It was Serge Ibaka. Defensive struggle. A lot of people consider that Jordan's finest game. He was 15 of 35 in that game. Wildly inefficient, but he did everything it took. He knew his teammates didn't have it, so he was going to play almost the entire game and do it and take every tough shot, even if it was almost too tough of a shot, right? Finished with 45 points on 15 of 35 and hit, of course, the epic game winner over Byron Russell. Last night, Kawhi, 16 of 39. 41 shots, did every single thing his team needed him to do in a game they were ripe to lose. In a game you could have argued they should have lost, but he willed them to victory, including that unbelievable shot.
And the thing that I thought was really special, too, was Kawhi, he avoided Ben Simmons, their best open court defender, wing defender, by slowing down. Because when they called timeout, in basketball, there's a theory that you can take as many dribbles as there is seconds. So if there's 4 seconds, you can basically take 4 dribbles before you shoot. If you watch Kawhi, when he gets this basketball, he sees Joel Embiid on the left. So immediately he goes to his right hand. Typically, you see that diagonal 3 taken, the one LeBron took fading away after 2 dribbles. But Kawhi didn't. He went to the corner because he knew in his basketball IQ, he knew, I got 4.5 seconds. I can take 4 dribbles. And him using up all that, which led to the bounce and everything, I thought him understanding that and still getting a decent shot
with Embiid's hand in his face.
So does the moment, does the win, does it make it more or less likely that Kawhi stays in Toronto?
Listen, I don't think it cements he stays in Toronto, but they are in the best position they have been at any point to keep him. He is now, it's not only because he gets this great moment, it's because they avoid what would have been for them, I think, worst case scenario, which was Kawhi Leonard plays this type of game, nobody else shows up, and they lose this early in the playoffs. Because then Kawhi is going to the offseason thinking, well, I can do that anywhere. I can be great and have my teammates let me down anywhere. I'm going to do it in Canada with higher taxes where it's cold. But the other thing it allows is not just this great moment, but Kawhi Leonard has not played in a complete conference finals game in 5 years. He has never played.
And I follow Kawhi. That I was still shocked. I was like, Nick got his numbers wrong on this one.
Right. No, the last time he was this deep into the season, well, yes, it was a couple years ago, but he got hurt in game 1 of the conference finals by Zaza. Last time we saw him play a complete game this deep into the season was 2014, when he was not a superstar yet. So he's going to get the superstar focus and the superstar experience, not from the media, but from having this level of importance on his play at this level of the playoffs for the first time in his career, because he wasn't this player the last time he was this far. That could go a long ways into keeping him in Toronto.
All right, let's get back to the West now. Tough one for the Rockets on Friday night. They lost to the Warriors in Game 6, despite getting 35 points from James Harden, and despite KD not suiting up. Houston now enters the offseason with more questions about their postseason than answers. Many of them asked of James Harden after the loss.
They're a very, very good team. Like, they're a great team. They've been in the finals for the last 4 or 5 years. Like, we're not losing to, some scrubs, so we got to find a way to keep getting better, keep growing, keep getting better, and keep putting ourselves in a position to keep playing them.
This was not fun, and I guarantee you, James and Chris and our team is very upset right now. They kicked our ass in our home court. They beat us by 10 points in the 4th quarter. It's unacceptable, okay? We just have to be better, and I know that we're going to rise to the occasion, and our time's going to come. James is 30 years old. Michael didn't win his first championship till 30. Hakeem didn't win his first championship till 30. I can promise you we're going to win some championships with James Harden, okay? because we are not going to sit here. We will go to battle every year. We're going to have a strong offseason, and we're going to do whatever we can do to be a better team. Okay, we are not going to sit on our hands. I can promise you that.
CC, is Tillman Fertitta right that the Rockets can win titles with James Harden?
Well, for one, I like Tillman. In his short time as being an owner, he has shown that I'm willing to spend the money. As a owner, I believe he has one of the higher basketball IQs, and I believe he's got one of the smarter guys being his right-hand man than Daryl Morey. So I like the fact that he believes in his guy. I like the fact, too, that he didn't mention Chris Paul. Because if they tell me, okay, we're willing to deal Chris Paul to get off of his contract to be able to bring some other help, because there are a lot of things I believe in. The ownership, the general manager, and picking the players. They'll find those players that fit into his roster. They've been able to do that. And James Harden, how he's changed his body, how he is concentrated on his overall endurance. Man, that video, them videos after the game in the middle of the night after scoring 40 and going still to work out, Jenna, you and I were just so impressed of how his overall philosophy on taking care of his body has changed. So there's a lot of things I do believe in, but I don't believe in the coach. I don't believe in the system that he has had, no matter where he's been. That system has not won on a high level. You will win a lot. You can win 50, 55 games during the regular season. But when you get into crunch time, where they're letting you clutch and grab, where the three-pointer, it's still important, but that mid-range game and all the other things become important, I don't think that that's a championship formula. So that right there is my greatest concern in Houston going forward. It didn't work with D'Antoni. It didn't work any other place he's been. Lakers, Phoenix, hadn't worked in Houston thus far.
So I think the Rockets can win a title. I think James Harden has earned the right for us to believe he's going to come back as good, if not better, next year. But I also think that Daryl Morey was right when he tweeted after the game, quoting the great Omar Little, "You come at the king, you best not miss." And the Rockets have been obsessed with the king, the Golden State Warriors, and they can't beat them. In order for the Rockets to win a title, the Warriors are going to have to age out of it, or the Warriors are going to have to break up, or the Warriors are going to have to be beaten by someone else. Because you're not going to get a better opportunity you've had these last 2 years. I know they didn't have Chris Paul last year at the end, but you're up 15 in Game 6 to close them out, and you lose. You're up 15 at home in Game 7 last year, and you lose. You are tied with a chance with Golden State almost punch drunk because Kevin Durant has just hobbled off the court going into fourth quarter of Game 5 this series. And you lose. You're a 7.5-point favorite at home when Steph Curry scores 0 points in the first half.
And no Kevin Durant.
No Kevin Durant.
Up by 5 entering the fourth quarter.
Up by 7 on a fast break in the fourth quarter. And you lose. Some teams just can't beat other teams. The Kings with Divac and Weber just couldn't beat those Lakers.
Yeah.
I think that this is a team that just can't beat the Warriors. So I do think they win a title, but they're going to need some help.